Right, here we go.
Here we go.
So we're going over the lesson that Stephen taught a couple weeks ago. For everyone that didn't get it, overview, we're going to do a different kind of pulse. It's called a pendulum pulse. We're going to work with some new rhythms and how to incorporate that into partner pairing.
Yes. So the basics of a pendulum pulse, you want to imagine as if you were a pendulum. So like in one of those old clocks that your grandparents had, that you're going to turn into one of those. So if you imagine that the top of the clock is the top of your spine, like if you feel on your neck and you feel down to your first vertebra, the pendulum is going to swing from that point. So that's the top of the pendulum. The bottom of the pendulum is like your hips. So everything between the top of your spine and your hips is one solid, it's just like in that grandfather clock, it's one thing. And it has to go together. It can't, see? It goes together. It can't like break
As
like this.
To our lovely isolations, which we were doing before, like that.
Right, where we just did a butt.
Just our
Just hips.
Just a hip isolation.
Hips. So yeah, that's the idea of a pendulum. And so we have two of them. We have forward back, which is like this. And you have both views here.
Yeah, so the amount of movement that you're doing is just from like lean forward to as far as you can go forward without falling, lean forward, back. Or sorry, lean back. So you're not going up on your toes or back on your heels, you're just kind of like just using that. Shoop, shoop.
Just gentle. And then you can do the same thing left and right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't doing it.
Left and right. Yeah, this way. Which doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at. It's like that. So yeah, that's forward. That's the pendulum motion.
So it's a different kind of pulse. So like before, where we were doing like our like doom 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 or zoom 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 zoom. Those were ways to keep time with our bodies. This is a different way to keep time within our bodies without moving this way. We're moving this way.
So you can do it in time. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, like that.
Yeah. Sweet.
So then when we do it with partners, we really only use the forward and back pulse. That's what Stephen taught. So, and we put them in combinations like this. So we're going out, here, we'll do it without moving first. So if we're just standing centered and we do the forward and back pulse, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it. And I guess you could do left and right. 2.
Feels kind of awkward.
Feels weird. We don't do this.
So
yeah.
Anyway.
Then what we do is we put it in timing with our feet. So we'll step right, touch, left, together, right, together, left. And we're not, when I say together, we're not actually going together. We're just maybe turning our heel in or something like that. But the idea is we're taking 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we can put that forward and back pendulum motion in. So we're going to turn sideways and keep doing this so that you can see where the pendulum happens.
I'm going to do this.
So we can have the back on the outsides. So 1, 2, 1, 2, forward, back, or we can reverse that and we can go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, centered, out, centered, out, centered. Cool? So those are called doubles, and you can do it with the pendulum going both of those ways. Do we want to do it together? Yes. So then when you do it together, it looks like this. This is out.
This one looks a little bit like funky butt.
Yeah.
That we were doing before when we were going. We had a little more like weight, a little more. Alright, so it's doing cha. Yeah. It felt more like a hip isolation, more back. This is very like. This one is different, so it has like. You're just kind. It's more relaxed, I guess. You're just kind of like squish and squish. Yeah, and so Matt, to lead this, is like barely doing anything. He's
so the lead is in your right arm, and as you go back, you allow the follow to go back, and then you extend your hand. Maybe she's giving you just a little bit of weight, and so you extend your hand back like 4 or 5 inches or something.
Just kind of like relaxing.
Yeah,
so you're kind of like, just as you go back, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. And we can do it the other way.
Okay. Yep.
Which is in, out, in, out, in, out, in. Which we don't use as much, but it's there.
Just harder, yeah.
just hard. It's a
but
little
it's
different.
different.
I guess you use it sometimes.
Right.
And then we have another foot pattern, which are triples, or excuse me, syncopated doubles. So before we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Now we're just going to syncopate on beat 2. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, back to 1. So I'll change that. I'll change that.
But the thing here is that it's not back. You know how for instance, in swing, we always do this rock step, and like sometimes we open up real big. This is not that. So we're not crossing behind. We're going straight back. So it's kind of like you're making a little angular U with your body. Yeah. And this is a really hard thing to do in partnering, okay? Because the tendency is when you come back here to really open up that side. Not that side, but here it's really easy to go like, yay! Which is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep this pendulum very like in this dimension.
And then when you're using this footwork, the syncopated double footwork, you can only do the pendulum back on the outside. So we're going in, out, in, out, in, out. So if we just switch back to doubles for a second without the syncopation, you'll see the pendulum, right? And then if we add the syncopation in, so our bodies are keeping the same pendulum motion while we just we've syncopated the footwork. So that's syncopated doubles. And then
The third one? That's
that
fine.
Stephen taught were triples, which are just a variation of syncopated doubles. So if in doubles we're going 1, 2, and 1, 2, and all that triples do is change the timing. So they're going 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2,
Good.
1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, back, forward, side, back, forward, side. So that's a triple.
So the difference is between taking that one across or that one back.
Exactly. So
You do a 1 or 1. You know?
Exactly. So we want to show you really quickly a way to go back and forth between syncopated doubles and triples. So the easier one is to go from triples to syncopated doubles. So if in triples we're going 1 and 2, 1 and 2. The basic idea is to stop on a 2 and then take a side step in the other direction. 1 and 2, so we stop, and then we go the other direction for 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. So again, if we're doing this, we're going 1 and 2, 1 and stop, other direction, 2 and 2 and 1, 2 and. So you and your partner can work that out. And then going from syncopated doubles into triples, we're stepping to the side, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. The basic idea here is to stop on 1, hold for 2 and then take a step back for 1 and 2 going into the triples. So 1, 2 and hold, 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So we go back to our syncopated doubles, 1, 2 and syncopated doubles here, 1, 2 and hold, 2 and 1 and 2. Triples, 2, 1 and 2. And that's how you get back and forth.
Bam. Okay, so let's just do partnered stuff. So there was one thing that we worked particularly on, which is turning. So there's this great thing where you can keep the rhythm of the footwork that you're doing while you turn, which is the thing that just hadn't occurred to me for a while. So, and this is a particularly interesting footwork to keep because you're not always going with your momentum. So it's a little different. So, but let's just do a step touch turn. So
Sure.
If you're doing doubles, which is essentially step touch, right? Doon cha.
And we have our
Doon cha. Doon cha. Doon cha. Doon cha. Doon cha. Doon cha. Yeah.
And so we kept our pendulum pulse going the whole time. And the thing to notice about the lead is all I did was give Anna space, and she's totally in charge of this turn. And so both of us are holding on to our footwork, step, tap, the whole time. And we just do it really loose. I just give her some space, and she's like, yeah, I turn however I want.
Yeah.
And also, if she wanted, she could do it really slow.
Yeah.
Right? You can take a really long time. And we could walk all around and stuff. Right? And so that was many counts, 12 counts or something it took us to get back together. So then you could do other footwork.
Yeah. Okay, so yes. The other thing I just wanted to add about this is that you can also lead turns. I don't want to say that the lead never has any say in how fast a turn goes. can always suggest things, but like, yeah, also follows time to take space.
Right.
So
So if we're doing syncopated doubles,
stepping.
2 and 1, 2, we can do a turn like this. And so I've established this pattern of syncopated doubles. And now if we start to do a turn,
Doom, 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 doom.
and we get back together and we're doing the same footwork still.
So the weird thing about that is if you have this 1, 2, and so there's this step back. So right here, you take this step backwards, which is not the way you're coming. So that was what I was talking about with the momentum. So you have 1, 2, and before you go around, which is fine. It's just different.
And then
Same
in
day.
triples, it's the same one, or I'm sorry, let's see. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And that's kind of a funky footwork. So you'd probably be doing that in some kind of a song that's really funky.
Yeah.
So
Sweet life. I think that was it.
that's it.
Bam.